What's going on with the family? We back at it. Clock back in, and today's episode we're gonna talk a little bit about branding and marketing. I feel like those are some of the things that I guess need to be talked about if you're trying to build.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big part of like marketing, pushing your music, or just anything you're doing socially.
Yeah, branding. I mean, branding is key, And so, what you got on the list today? What you want to talk about? How you
Okay.
feeling?
Before we get into some things, today's sponsor is Press Juicery. I'm gonna try. I got the hydration. This is dragon fruit. You got vitamin C, probiotics, everything your body needs.
I got the refresh. I already bust mine open, but I got the refresh. It's blue pineapple lemonade.
How's it taste?
Fire. It tastes good. I mean, Press Juice, I feel like you can't go wrong with. Just because they,
It's just like so fresh. Like it feels like this is what your body needs when you drink it.
Yeah, that's on point.
Okay.
Let's get into it.
All right. We got our hydration. So let's start off with some key points like strategy. Like how do you develop a strategy? How do you come up with it? What's the game plan for strategy?
Strategy is kind of like first is sitting down and kind of knowing your target audience that you're trying to like approach and gain. Your fan base that you're trying to basically gain. You basically sit down and you have dialogue with your team and you say, this specific group is who we targeting. Okay. And then once you do that, I feel like social media is very important. That's probably the forefront of branding and marketing, using social media and leveraging social media to answer your question.
Okay. And then what about consistency? Like
that's probably the second thing on the list, that once you find your blueprint, you have to be consistent. You have to continue to double down as far as like spending the budget, as far as like putting in the extra work, putting in the extra time. You have to continue to double down once you find your blueprint. And you just, the thing about it is what I notice with a lot of people is once they don't see instant results, they start to fall back.
Yeah.
But really, when you don't see the results, but you know deep down inside this strategy
is gonna work.
It's gonna work. That's when you're supposed to double down more.
Yeah.
And then if it doesn't, like once you continue to double down and it's like, nah, you ain't getting no motion. I'm talking about like 8 months to a year, not the first 60, 90 days. I'm talking about like months. a year, close to a year assessment. If you ain't got no motion and you've been doing that, then it's time to go back to the drawing board.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say like.
And then like, what's a tip or like that you would give on for someone to stay consistent or be consistent?
You got to surround yourself. It's all about the people you surround yourself with. I feel like when you building anything you're doing, you got to keep the right people around you so you can kind of push each other. If it's a lot of times when you get around certain people and your vision is so big that sometimes when they don't see the results instantly, they could drain you because they're not really feeding into it. Yeah. So that's why the key thing is when you do have that sit down, make sure everybody that's at the table can see the end goal and the vision. You know what I'm saying? Because then that way, when you do fall off, let's say you fall off, I'll be like, Lika, what's up, man? We ain't did the show in 2 days. I can hold you accountable. And vice versa. You could be like, where you at? Like, you on your way to the house? You better go on at 6.
Yeah, what's some ideas? Like, run them past me. What you got on your mind? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's about accountability, being able to hold each other accountable and keeping that circle tight.
So it's easier if you have someone on your team that's pushing you, that helps you to be consistent. Like, what if somebody doesn't have a team and they're just solely doing this, from the gutter?
And then you gotta tap into yourself. I think you should tap into yourself first anyway. But as you grow, you're gonna get other people that you want to bring on, or vice versa. They want to be a part. And so when you bring them people on, them people can either push you to move faster or they can drain you and slow you down. And so the key is know yourself first tap into yourself, know your own mission, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, you best believe like the people that surround you, that's gonna dictate how fast you're moving. Because 2 hands is cool, 4 hands is better than 2 hands. But if I got your 4 hands, but you ain't helping me move nothing, then it's like it's dead weight.
Yeah. Okay, that's a fact. What about bringing awareness to your brand? How do you do that? What's the importance of doing that?
So it's not no one way to do that, but I feel like just to give a blueprint of how we did it with the clothing that was effective, and now we continue to use that blueprint. You got to hit the streets.
Go to the people.
You got to touch the people. And I feel like with that being said, you got to touch the people, but now you got to leverage touching the people with social media. So it's like you touch the people, but you magnify it by using social media. So one of the things when we first, it's 2011, one of the things that we kind of used to do was when people used to buy from us on the streets, we used to take a picture and shout them out.
And people like that. And then people started coming to the truck just for that moment.
Even before the truck, even when we was doing that on the beach.
I remember we was doing that in the store. Remember we did that in the store? Every time somebody came in the store, we took a Polaroid and then we put it on the wall. And we had this whole wall, just gallery of different people.
And that's how we built the community.
Yeah.
So I feel like, to answer your question, you got to be able to touch the people.
Yeah. Just as important as touching the people online too.
Yeah, I mean,
it's equal.
I feel like the internet is to magnify everything because the internet makes everything bigger than what it is. You see what I'm saying? But when you're touching the people, that's already the stamp because people see you out and about and they see the credibility. Like, oh, such and such supported bro. Yeah. This supportive, okay, you know what I'm saying? And then once you get that energy, then you magnify that by putting that on social media and find different ways to make it like cool. You know what I'm saying?
I was just gonna say, you just did it in your own way. Like everybody does it differently. They shout them out on IG, but I felt like you taking that picture and like having a physical copy, I felt like that was dope because you got something tangible.
Both of us, the person that supported us and vice versa. So those, if you really think about it, those is like timestamps.
A little piece of history.
You know, that could tell a story of the brand.
Yeah.
And I feel like those things last forever. So, you know, I feel like we still kind of use that to this day, as far as like when people support us.
I just looked at those pictures not too long ago. By the way, they're I have them all of them. I have them stored in a plastic container.
We might have to do something with that. Like just do a whole maybe do a photo book, like a book. That'd be fire. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's so many ways to kind of like approach it, but hey, that would be hard.
Yeah. Okay. What about using your audience as a focus group or just using the people around you as focus groups?
I'm big on that.
Bouncing ideas off people, and
I'm big on receiving. Like I like to use people as a focus group for the simple fact that they're going to be the ones that supporting. So a lot of times as creators, we always feel like this because we made it, it's like super, it's like, you know, it's magnificent. But I feel like the people solidify that. Yeah. The people that support you. So, you know, every time we make something, the first thing we do is, like, what you think?
Yeah, we come to each other.
Yeah, we bounce off the feedback. And then after that, then we might use our immediate
friends. And then
after that, we share it to the world. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I feel like once you get those sales, then you know it's translating. If you're not getting those sales, then we got to go back to the drawing board. So
that is a fact.
So
because when them sales come through, it's nothing like some sales.
But it's crazy because when I look back, like we've been pretty accurate when it comes to like aiming and releasing something, and then. But I think that go back to like we really adamant before we put it out on trying to do the checklist.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? I think a lot of times people just put stuff out without doing the checklist. But the checklist is important because that checklist can kind of save you time.
And I feel like the checklist too is the people, because at the end of the day, the people are going to be the one that's coming, supporting, and buying it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. This is basically just not just throwing anything out there.
Exactly.
Strategy. You know what I'm
Putting
saying?
thought and effort into it.
Throwing something at the board and seeing what sticks.
Fact. Okay. What about the importance of networking?
Networking is very important, but that goes back to being amongst the people. If you notice, a lot of the things that transpired throughout the years was like us just being out and about and somebody saying, yo, I do this.
Or, yeah, that's happened a lot of times.
You know what I'm saying?
Videographers, like all different type of fields, like, yeah.
Because I think what was dope about the truck is that when people pulled up on us, they knew that we were serious about what we did because they was able to see.
Yeah.
That it was tangible. Like whatever it is, whatever they doing, y'all out here, y'all built the truck. Like we could see it visually, like y'all got motion. And I think that's comes back to like credibility. It's nothing better than when you meet another creative and they know instantly like, nah, like he's serious about what they do and vice versa.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people that met us throughout the years, they got that energy instantly because they either came to our store or we was out on the beach presenting ourselves in a certain way, or even when we was in the truck. Everybody knew that we was out and we was doing what we had to do to build.
So that was just a form of networking too, just being out amongst the people.
I think that's the best networking to me is when you kind of like in the action of doing what you do. Some people be like, go to the club, but it's like if I go to the club and I'm trying to network, that could work too.
I feel like the club scene is more for like personal branding, but when you're doing business branding, no, we're gonna schedule a dinner, we're gonna pull out, we're gonna talk, like,
and one-on-one combat, like we're gonna get straight to it, what we trying to do. I feel like the club, I mean, it's kind of like it's hard to kind of have a real business dialogue.
Yeah, you gotta scream at the person. Who wants to scream? Who wants to hear a screaming conversation?
Yeah, so that's always been my thing, and I've always been like serious about like when it comes to business. Like if I'm having fun, I'm having fun, but if I'm on the business vibe, I'm locked in. Ain't no like in between.
As you should be.
So.
Yeah, as you should be. This is a big one. This is a big one that I feel like a lot of people should really tap in to do. And that's the willingness to learn and adapt. Just be open-minded to trying stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people lack that, but that's really important.
That's very important. And that's important to kind of like for sustainability, because as you continue to build and grow, like things are going to change.
Yeah.
And if you stuck in one way,
then you're
going to get outdated. And when those changes happen, you just going to see yourself falling behind more and more. It's just no different than, remember our parents, a lot of our elders, when the computer first hit, a lot of them was like, I ain't learning that damn computer. Like,
yeah, my dad still says that.
Yeah,
but he's forced to know how to use it.
Well, he's forced to now call you that knows how to use the computer because he don't know how to use it still. Like you said, he don't really want to learn. So he'll call you and be like, Liga, come over here and help me. And that's cool. But I just...
For him?
I don't know,
that's good. That's cool for him. Who wants to keep running? That's what I'm saying. You got to be open-minded, because if you were open-minded to use this phone or the computer, you would want to be intrigued on how to learn and not keep calling and, asking someone else, how do you do this? How do you do this? Yeah, you could call me. Yeah. And I'll show you a couple times. But then after
well, I think it goes back to this. If you tell yourself you don't want to learn it, you're not going to learn it. I never forget, one day we was working on the truck and you had one in the house and a dude just pulled up and he was like, man, I've been wanting to meet you for the longest. I always see a truck out here. And then he was like, yeah, man, like, what made you do the truck? And I gave him the whole rundown. He was like, man, I want to tell you something, man. He was like, man, you're going to go far, man, because this truck is ingenuity, you know, and it takes a lot to think of, to do stuff like this. And he was like, I want to share a story with you. He was like, when the computer came out, for example, he worked on cars. And he said all his homies, when the computer came out, they didn't want to learn the chips that was going in the cars, how to program them. Yeah. So he worked for BMW right now. And he's saying all his homies that when he first started with, they taught him how to work on the cars. Yeah. They started to die out because as the new cars had more computer chips and more technology, they didn't want to learn it. So that he said he's been working at BMW for damn near 25, 30 years. And a lot of his homies, they had a cap. Yeah.
They had to go relearn it somewhere.
Or they didn't want to learn it. So they just work at it, or they work at these other shops where it's not like, you know, where he like. And so he was saying like, that's the key about ingenuity is always staying open-minded and having that willingness to learn.
Yeah, I think that's important.
And so when he gave me that example, that stuck with me because, you know, here it is. I think he probably had to been like in his like 65, close to 60s, 70s. And he's talking about like, yeah, man, when all my partners, when they didn't want to learn how to do that, he was like, a lot of my homies, they don't know how to use the phone. Yeah. And it was like, but that go back to like, it's not that they couldn't learn it. They told themselves they didn't want to learn it. You know, and so I say that all that to say, not to be long-winded, is like, yes, you have to stay open-minded if you're going to be successful in business, being an entrepreneur, being
just
an artist, and life. You have to stay open-minded because things are going to evolve and things are going to grow. And another thing of us having a kid, imagine things evolving and growing and we're not able to teach 7 of these things.
Yeah, she's going to get left behind.
Or she going to pick it up and we going to get left behind. And I think none of us should be left behind. I think we should all be learning as we grow as a village.
Oh, that's a bar.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah, you know.
Okay, why not? Yeah, that's a bar. That's deep. Okay, let's get into. Let's see. What about? I think we kind of hit on that one. Building your social media platforms. Is there a strategy to that?
It used to be, but it's tough right now. And they got it so. They got the gates locked right now, but
but not everywhere, just certain places.
The best strategy is just make sure you're on all of them.
All of them.
Batch all of them.
What's all of them?
YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. You know why I say Facebook? Because I slept on Facebook for a long time, but when you really dive in and you think about it, Facebook give it up the most because you got older people that's on there. Yeah. They got a little bit more time than the younger people. Yeah. That's looking for something to share.
I think Facebook is more like our MySpace era. Remember how like it was only really MySpace and like everybody was on there? I feel like Facebook is that, especially now that they merged with Instagram too. So it's really like they have 2 platforms in one.
Yeah, that Facebook, I would say Threads, Twitter.
I don't get Threads. What?
Threads is like Twitter? It's the same thing as Twitter, but it's this Instagram's version. Basically, Facebook and Instagram, they trying to like basically monopolize the game. You ever play Monopoly and then you had like...
Yeah, and then you got to pick the other people's property up. And...
They trying to make sure they got the most real estate on the board.
But it's really the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing, basically. As of right now, they saying they're going to come with updates or whatever. But whatever. But
and then also too, I know you don't really use this one, but I'll be on that one. Pinterest.
Yeah, you put me on that.
Pinterest. They literally like that's my search engine. Like I'll go to Pinterest and just type in what I'm looking for. And then Reddit. Reddit is more like forum threads.
Yeah, I ain't gonna hold you. Like those 2 last ones, I ain't really like. But
but like, it's a thing. Yeah.
But we sharing it with y'all. Like.
Yeah.
You know, don't leave that on the table. Like, go ahead and use that. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't gonna hold you.
It's just so many that It
got to be done though.
It got to be done.
Yeah. And I feel like when you do kind of batch everything and then you put it on all the platforms, you give yourself a better chance to kind of like go viral or hit a target or hit a market.
We got to look into the one that sends it all out in one. So you post one and then it just blasts it out to all the different
ones.
They do have a... Now they're coming up with more platforms too.
That do that.
Yeah. So.
That's a fact.
Okay. I think this one is an important one as well. How do you... Let's see, how do I word it? But basically, what makes your brand unique? I think that's important when you're branding because in a world of so many alike, it's good to have something that will set you aside, from the others. What do you think about branding?
I think you have to...
I mean, not branding, being unique.
I think you have to really... I think being unique stems from
tapping into yourself.
Yeah. The urge of not wanting to be like everybody else, want to be in the pack, and that comes with just being passionate. I think when you're really passionate about what you do, it's gonna show.
Yeah, I agree with that.
When you really, because you could kind of see it, or I feel like I've been in the game long enough now where you can kind of see when somebody's chasing a bag, doing something for this chasing the bag. And then you kind of...
It shows, I feel like the quality, like what the words might say, the picture, it just looks rushed. You can definitely
tell. So when you got that passion where it evolved, it's not 9 times out of 10, it's not going to be all that. It's going to be the opposite. It's going to look like somebody really took their time. They really thought this out.
Yeah.
The design was well put together. And you can feel... I feel like energy is big when you talk about art. Energy is huge because often, a lot of times, energy is your story.
Energy is your story.
Yeah, and to elaborate on that is Urban Trademark was highly successful because of the story.
Yeah.
The logo is definitely dope, but it's a story behind this logo.
And for those that don't know the story, what's the story?
The story is, long story short, it was started fresh out of prison. We got together and we said we need to build a brand, and we got out there in the streets and we started touching the people, and the people started receiving the product, and they loved the product. And then after that, one day, dude kept saying bro, you're an artist. And I was on the boardwalk, I'll never forget. And I came home and I was like, we need a logo that represents art. And, we hit the homie C up. And I was very detailed about this logo.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because from the shoes to the paint bucket to the paintbrush, even to him wearing a hat, I was detailed to see, knowing that it had to have all these details. Because for one, the shoes represent, you already know.
Yeah.
I'm a
shoe fanatic, yeah.
The paint bucket and the paintbrush represent your essentials. Every artist has their essentials that they need to do their art.
Or do whatever you need to do in life.
Exactly. So those are your essentials.
Yeah.
And the hat is we was doing custom hats. And everybody know in high school, I was a hat, what I'm saying?
Hat and shoes. This is this guy right here. Hat and shoes.
So I feel like that's the energy though, is that, that's the story, and I felt like when you're building a brand, the story has to be aligned with you.
Yeah.
And the team.
Because if it is, it's more passion that gets put into it.
You see what I mean? So when you talk about branding and marketing, those are the two things that you really want to focus on, is your story and why you're doing this. And what is your purpose with this? For us, I feel like the purpose was we how most people be I want to start a brand. and they have all these reasons. I feel like we started a brand because we was like dealt a certain hand. Or you definitely came in and was like, all right, I love you. I want to see you shine. So I'm gonna support everything you're doing, and we're gonna do this together.
Yeah.
But that's what I love about the story is that when you came in, we had a mission. Even from picking the name, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people don't know that story, but we was throwing names out, and you came up with the trademark.
Yeah, we each came up with one. You came with urban, and I came with trademark.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like that, but these are the nuances that's like a part of the story. You know, and so when you talk about branding, that's it. That's the focal point. It's like, what is your mission statement? What is your story? What is your purpose? What's the end goal? In between that end goal, a lot of things gonna change. But as long as you got that mission statement and like why you want to do this, because it can't just be like, I want to do this to make money.
Oh yeah.
Because when you don't make money off of it, you're gonna die out. And when you do make money off of it, if you don't have a mission statement or a purpose, then you're gonna fizzle out too. Yeah. So it's got to be bigger than the money. The money gonna come, because if you're doing something long enough, eventually you're gonna understand it and you're gonna figure it out. You know what I'm saying? But in between that, it gotta have a purpose too. I think another thing of our purpose is inspiration. We inspired a lot of people. You know, we've been rocking together as a couple and doing this for a long time. You know what I'm saying? So that a lot of people, for a fact, been watching that. So that's a lot of inspo that we've been giving to a lot of people that at the end of the day, that's a part of the story. Yeah. You know, when people used to come in the store and they see I'm out the store fabric shopping, but you in the store, that's, you know what I'm saying?
And then they be all like sad because they wanted to see you.
Nah, here you go.
I'm just playing.
Here you go. But that's a part of the story though, man. Like just basically just showcasing that we doing whatever it takes to get to these next levels. Yeah. And even when and another part of the story too is even when it don't go as smooth as we think it's gonna go, when the turbulence hit, who gonna stay down? Yeah. You know, that's a part of the logo too. Like people forget, we started off selling regular hats. If it wasn't for a police officer saying you can't sell here no more and made me have to think outside of that. Yeah. Remember when I came home, like, man, they hating.
Yeah, that was just another block in the road to help you get to a higher level.
A higher level. You know what I'm saying? That's a part of it. Yeah. And so I want to share that to anybody that's watching this. It's like, really, is this about taking the cards you dealt and using and make it the best hand you can?
Not complaining about it, not finding excuses about it, but just getting it done.
Just getting it done. You know, but you gotta have that team too. Yeah. Because if you don't have a solid foundation and a solid team, when these obstacles come, somebody might fold. And if somebody fold, then what normally happens is when you've been like having somebody with you and somebody folds, it's more weight on your back. And it's kind of like, damn, like, you know what I'm saying? So having a solid team prevents that. It's like pillars. Like if one
you need two to hold you up.
You know what I'm saying? Two, you know what I'm saying? Or it could be 4, it could be 8. But if those 4, 2, or 8 fall, then everything crumbles. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That's a good analogy.
Yeah, but if everybody stands strong, we're gonna be straight. Yeah. So your team is core. Yeah. And they ain't got it. I like what Birdman, what Slim was saying. He was like, when they first started, he thought he had to go have his big old team and pay all these people. And then he said after years progressed, he realized it's not necessarily the quantity, it's the quality of people. Because sometimes you can have a lot of quantity and those people are not doing nothing. And now you kind of losing money, losing time, where you can have 4 people that's doing nothing but great quality in these aspects. Yeah. I mean, in these job roles or whatever they're doing, and things are like elevating fast. Yeah. So Slim said that. He's like, when him and Birdman first came in the game, they were spending all this money, and then they had to realize, like, nah, it ain't necessarily having all these people doing all these things they say they're gonna do. Who's really doing what they really doing? Yeah. and we're gonna double down on those people. And when he said that, that makes sense.
Yeah, makes total sense. That's a good way he broke it down. Quality over quantity.
In everything. When you're building the clothing, when you're building your team, everything, quality over quantity.
I'm gonna have to put that on a t-shirt.
That's a fact.
Okay. It's branding.
That's branding 101.
Branding 101. You guys have officially just passed branding 101.
That's a fact, though. That's just a couple of jewels, though. You know, if you're starting a brand,
yeah,
that's a great checklist to start with.
For sure.
So what we doing? What we diving into, though?
Okay, let's jump into this play. You want to jump into a playlist, or you want to review a song?
I think somebody sent something. Man, we could review, see what they sent.
Okay.
And then we could do one off the list, too.
All right, so let's get into this submission. This one is from Hollow Prince. He said he just released this one. So let's get into it. This one's called The Consequences of the Beast by Hollow Prince. All right, here we go.
Cover it, okay.
8 and over 40 support program.
No commercial, SoundCloud commercial.
Y'all, look, mind your business. We just gonna play the song, okay?
Might have to turn it up.
Here's just your.
Well, I ain't never seen that.
What's going on? What's going on with SoundCloud? Hold on. Hold on, y'all.
Try to refresh it. Yeah, I ain't never seen SoundCloud that thirsty.
But like, where it don't even tell me where the music coming from.
Let me see.
Oh, here we go. Down here.
Pull up the Spotify. Maybe it's music coming from the Spotify.
No, not
the Spotify. Oh, there we go.
There we go.
All right.
Okay,
yeah,
my
so
bad.
SoundCloud, basically, they trying to get the marketing dollars, man. I don't
right,
blame them. I guess everybody got to eat, man. Remember when SoundCloud used to be where you can go and just...
Yeah, just play the music. But anyways, we finally got it up. This is Hollow Prince, The Consequences of the Beast. Let's get into it. It sounds real, like, eerie, like... Never fearing what can be. Never rest in peace, bring you in and out of sleep. Letting around on your feet, never letting you be anything but just you and me. Ride around with ease, never fearing what can be. Never rest in peace, bring you in and out of sleep. Letting around on your feet, never letting you be anything but just you and me. Nothing but we keep nothing but creep, but you really gon' get when I pull out the beam. As you fuck it, don't need leave until you can breathe on the fucking disease. All in the streets, all take it out, brother. Roll on each car, take it out, brother. Dropping it, dropping it, popping it.
I mean...
Okay. For me, it was more so his cadence. He killed the cadence. That fast, I feel like that's a real art. Like that's
that flow.
That's skills.
Okay.
That's talent. For sure. But it's a little, it gives me dark vibes. I don't know. What about you?
Yeah, you know, I'm a 7-second type of dude. The first 7 seconds, I was just intrigued to see where he was going because it didn't really catch me.
And it was like the build up for the beat too. Like,
and then when it dropped, yeah, I feel like that's definitely not something that I kind of would play. And not only that, I feel like it still needs some work as far as the mix and the sound that we're trying to create.
I see. It's a lane for that.
It's definitely a lane.
It's definitely a lane, but it's just not, I think, our vibes.
Yeah. So, yeah, man, keep working, keep submitting. Maybe you got something else in the catalog that we, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, keep submitting the music. I think it's not for us, but it's definitely there. Like somebody's going to love that.
Yeah,
For
let's get
sure.
some love. Let's get some love, a little love on
Yeah.
SoundCloud.
So keep working.
Yeah, so bet. And then
I like how you put the lyrics too. That's dope.
okay,
Yeah, that's
I
dope.
like that.
Yeah, that's
This
dope.
going over and beyond is always something that I feel like separates you as an artist. So I like that.
Going the extra mile so people can know more about this song. I feel like that's good marketing. That's good branding right there.
Yeah,
That's good branding.
I mean, but yeah, keep submitting. And we, matter of fact, we might, when the show's off, I might tap in and see what else you got in your catalog.
Yeah.
See if there's anything else, we can kind of share on our next episode that we see that we came across. But yeah, appreciate you sending it in, submitting.
Yeah.
We're gonna pull up another song off the playlist. Let's see.
Let's tap into the playlist.
How you feeling? Let's do the Tony Snow. I don't think we did that, or
okay.
Or else you wanna what? I mean, you do.
I see you got some ASAP in here. Okay.
Oh, ASAP. Yeah, we could play that.
ASAP.
Yeah.
Okay, this is Pudge Rodriguez. Let's make sure we got this one off. Okay. All right. Here we go.
I think I added that about like 4 days ago.
Okay. So this Pudge Rodriguez, ASAP. Let's get into it. Old school beat. Old school sample.
Smoke deep, coffee 500, I'm still gonna let a big chunk of the coop. Cushy girl on my boots, I run on the window, I holler at your boot. No instrument in my crib, but I know chicken, but I move like a flute. He make the music, I shut up the shoot. Look at my outfit, this shit is expensive. Like going from back in the 80s, vintage. I got the twist on the still gonna attach you. Feeling like Danny, I pull up the fan. Dripping her body beyond her slam. Like it's an Aries, I need some more dimes. Boys with truck dick, I got a comment. Didn't expect me to win it.
That's that flow. Yeah, that's that flow.
Like that was a scary, I come in the shining. Money like spring, piling.
It's like you don't get no time to breathe.
Tropical buck with family. I got a fruit banana. I told her to pull up with camera. Like Cooley, bitch, I'm a jammer. A trailer like man, Stanford. Smoke deep, coffee 500, I'm fucking the line of big chunk of the coop. Cushy girl on my boots, I run on the window, I holler at your boot. No instrument in my crib, but I'm no chicken with a woman like a flip. He make the music, I shut up the shit. Look at my outfit, this shit is a sense. Like Jordan from back in the day, vintage. I got the trip on the still on the tag. Feeling like Danny, I pull up the fan. Dripping her body beyond her sand. So Bob,
Yeah, man.
It's a sample for me.
It's a sample that got you. Yeah, man. Keep submitting your music, man. We love it, man. It's the playlist. Where we at? How many tracks we at now? We started off with what?
I think we started off with a good like 12, 13.
2 weeks ago. We started it off when
Now we got 22.
22 tracks. So
22.
So
tap in with us. Give us some recommendations that we should be listening to, add it to the playlist. And if you guys are interested, you want us to review your music as well, send it. Send it through the email. We'll review it, check it out, let you guys hear it, give our thoughts. So
honest opinion, man.
Yeah.
If you're looking for honesty, this is where you're gonna find it. But there you have it. We back at it again tomorrow. Tapped in.
Yeah, thanks for tapping in with us. See ya tomorrow.
Let's get it.